15
So
minutes.
you are a 15-minute
Right.
city.
Our council is not endorsing where you're going to have areas of 15-minute cities where you're told where you shop,
Nobody
where you.
thinks that. Nobody's doing that.
Oh, there's people that think that.
Well, there's people that think that.
Yeah, but
the conspiracy theorists think it's
100%.
like there's going to be digital banking and the government's going to control your money.
That's
There's going
for
to be,
some people what
there's
it's
going to
about.
be fences,
Yep.
and you know as well as I do that's
not realistic.
what this is about.
Not realistic.
We've all heard of 15-minute cities, but what are they really about? Are they real, or are they just a conspiracy theory? And more importantly, are they coming to Canada? Tonight, we find out. Welcome to the Political Orphans. I'm your host, Nico Lagan. So, this whole rabbit hole started earlier today when I was doing research for this show. I found a post on Instagram that sent me down a massive, massive rabbit hole. And since this is something I have spoken about before, I know very well what 15-minute cities are, but I realize that the average person does not. The average person thinks it's just a conspiracy theory, and tonight we look at what it actually is. So here is the post in question that that appeared on my feed. I do not know the person who actually posted it. I don't follow them, but as you can see on your screen, it says that Oxford, UK will be the first ever official WEF 15-minute city. The zones have been already drawn up, roads closed off, barriers installed, AI driver surveillance cameras are up. So I saw this post this morning and I decided to prove it wrong or prove it right. We will see. But I went through all the claims that post is making, and I figured let's try to see what is true, what is false. But in order to do that, in order to verify this post, we need to start at the beginning. And what is the beginning? Well, the question I ask you, what is a 15-minute city? This is where we need to start in order to answer this question. So, as per Wikipedia, the definition of a 15-minute city is an urban planning concept where residents can access daily necessities, work, shopping, education, healthcare, and leisure within a 15-minute walk, bike ride, or transit trip from home. It aims to reduce car dependency, improve sustainability, and increase quality of life by creating dense, mixed-use neighborhoods. Synonyms include complete neighborhood, 20 minutes neighborhoods, and city of close proximity. Now, what is the goal of a 15-minute city? Again, as per Wikipedia, proximity. Essential services are located close to residential areas. Second, density. Compact development allows for efficient services. Third, diversity. Mixed-use zoning allows homes, shops, and offices to coexist. And finally, sustainability. Reduces carbon emissions by limiting the need for private cars. So, this is the definition of a 15-minute city. So let's go back to the post. Here's the post once again. I'm bringing it up to the screen. Let's go back to the post and speak about the 5 claims that it's making. First, Oxford, UK will be the first ever official WEF 15-minute city. That's claim 1. Claim 2, the zones have already been drawn up. Third, roads closed off. Fourth, barriers installed. And 5, AI drivers surveillance cameras are up. So let's see if that post is actually true. So to answer the first question, let's look at what the WEF considers to be a 15-minute city And of course, they have a definition, of course. In an article that they posted on the WEF.org, well, weforum.org back on March 15th, 2022, an article titled The Surprising Stickness of the 15-Minute City. Their definition of a 15-minute city implies having all necessity amenities within a short walk, bike ride, or public transit trip from one's home, has demonstrated stickness not just as an idea, but as a powerful tool for action from Paris to Seoul, from Bogota to Houston. Sounds pretty much like the same definition of Wikipedia, doesn't it? Then we have to check if Oxford matches that definition. And quick search, and it's really that simple, right? On Google, now that it has Gemini connected to it, you can literally ask questions. Does Oxford, UK fit the description of a 15-minute city? The first thing that comes up. Oxford, UK is often cited as a prime example of a city transitioning towards a 15-minute city model. Right off the bat. Though this implementation has been accompanied by significant controversy, misconceptions, and intense local backlash, while intended to improve local amenity access, the planning initiatives became a flashpoint for conspiracy theories. We're actually talking about it right now. It also says that Oxford City Council Local Plan 2040 includes proposals to restructure the city so that residents can meet their daily needs, shops, and healthcare, education within a 15-minute walk or bike ride from their home. This fits the core definition of the concept. Again, you hear the same terms over and over again. Within a 15-minute walk or bike ride from their home. So it's confirmed. Oxford, UK fits the WEF 15-minute city definition, but are they the first? And no, they are not. Technically, Paris, France, under Mayor Anne Hidalgo, was the first city to transform into a 15-minute city, and that was back in 2020. By expanding bike lanes, turning schools into local parks, and increasing local diverse amenities. It also cites that plenty of other cities like Bogota, Melbourne, Portland, Milan, Barcelona, obviously Shanghai, have included this 15-minute life circle, as some of them like to call it. So even LA, I don't know if you guys remember this, but last year during the LA fires, what's his name? Gavin Newsom spoke about turning Los Angeles into a smart city by 2028, just in time for the LA Summer Olympics. The city was literally still burning, and he was talking about transforming Los Angeles into a smart city. So clearly, Oxford is not the first 15-minute city, even by WEF standards. So technically, the first claim is wrong, that they are the first, because they're not. It's worse than that, because they already exist. Now, the second claim was saying, or at least the second claim said that the zones have already been drawn up. Is that true? Well, let's find out. I found an article right here in the Oxford Mail, dated October 24th, 2022. And the article is titled, Traffic Filters Will Divide City into 15-Minute Neighborhoods. Roadblocks stopping most motorists from driving through Oxford city center will divide the city into 6 15-minute neighborhoods, a city council A county council travel chief has said he has insisted the controversial plan would go ahead whether people like it or not, because they've been massive backlash in Oxford because of the city plans. And Duncan Enrith, Oxfordshire County Council cabinet member for travel and development strategy, explained the authority's traffic filters proposal in an interview in the Sunday Times. He said the filters would turn Oxford into a 15-minute city with local services within a small walking radius. So the city councils of Oxford are saying that they will install, or they have installed, because this was almost 4 years ago, traffic filters. What are traffic filters? Because I don't know for you guys, but I had never heard the term before. I know what it is now. I understand the concept, but I had never heard traffic filters before. Just listen to it. They make sense, right? But it is clear that claim number 2, that the zones have been drawn out, is accurate, because city councils are talking about 6 different neighborhoods. So claim number 2 is accurate. Now let's check for claim number 3 that said that roads would be closed. Oh, you know what? I did this. Claim number 3 and claim number 4, I combined them because the answer will cover both of them. So the third and fourth claims were that roads would be closed off and barriers installed. So now we have to go back to traffic filters and what traffic filters actually are. And as per the definition that you see on your screen right now, traffic filters are tools for managing movement by restricting certain vehicle types from specific areas or directions to reduce congestion and improve safety. Of course, it's always about safety. Your safety. It's all about your safety. Common examples include physical bullroad planters, diagonal dividers, or camera-enforced restrictions, often used in low-traffic neighborhoods to prevent true traffic rat running, as they call it. They are also known as model filter, traffic calming measures, or camera-enforced restrictions. So, clearly, they have technology, even physical, electronic, digital technology, to enforce what they call traffic filters. And just so you know, the definition I just gave you is the definition that was taken off of Oxfordshire City Council. So the same people that in the previous article were talking about traffic filters, that's their definition. But here is where it gets interesting, and we need to really understand what traffic filters actually are in the context of Oxford as per their own definition. Traffic filters are tools or measures used to control the flow of items, vehicles, or data. They serve to reduce congestion, enhance safety, or manage network traffic, often separating specific type of traffic from general heavier flows. In an urban setting, these traffic filters are structures like planters or cameras designed to prevent through traffic on residential roads, prioritizing pedestrians and cyclists. Filter lights or signal, green arrow lights at junction, the similar type of lights that you're used to seeing. And then there's a time-restricted filters where cameras that restrict car access on specific roads during set hours, let's say 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., in order to reduce congestion. It's always about reducing congestion. It's always about your safety. But basically, the claim number 3 and 4 were that roads would be closed and barriers installed. We have the proof right there that the original post I showed you, and I'll bring it up to the screen once again. This post right here. Oxford will be the first ever official WEF minute cities. That's incorrect because Paris was the first one. The zones have been already drawn up. That is true. Roads closed off, barrier installed. That is true, and that is true. Now, the last claim is AI driver surveillance cameras are up. Well, let's go back to what traffic filters are. There are specific measures put in place in order to control traffic. But how are traffic filters enforced? Once again, as per the definition of the Oxfordshire City Council, traffic filters are enforced primarily through automated number plate recognition, or ANPR, cameras that identify vehicles passing through restricted points, often without physical barriers. These systems check vehicles against a database of permitted users. Example, residents, buses, emergency services, and automatically issue penalty charge notices to unauthorized cars. So the next question becomes, are automatic number plates recognition software run by AI? And of course, the answer is yes. Modern automatic number plates recognition, or automated license plate reader software, is heavily driven by artificial intelligence and computer vision technology. And it just happens that Oxford, and here is the proof, is Oxford UK using automatic number plate recognition software? Yes, Oxford is using automatic plate number recognition software extensively for traffic management, enforcement, and parking. The technology is used to monitor traffic filters, low traffic neighborhoods, and in a hospital parking area. So it turns out that claim number 5 is also accurate. So the post I showed you, the post that I saw this morning, was 4 out of 5 accurate. The only thing that wasn't accurate is the fact that that Oxford is not the first city. That's the only thing that was false in that post. Now, your question should be this one. Up to now, this is happening in the UK. It's happening in different cities in Asia. It's happening in Europe. But does Canada have 15-minute cities, or are 15-minute cities coming to Canada? Yes, they are. And technically, they already are here. Several cities, including Edmonton, Ottawa, and Vancouver, are integrating these concepts in their planning. You can look, I have right here. Yeah, see, I even found right here the maps for Edmonton. So if you're wondering if this is a conspiracy, you have maps right here of the neighborhoods that they are planning to develop as 15-minute cities. There are 15 district planning aimed at providing daily needs, work, shopping, and services within a 15-minute walk, bike, or transit trip from residential homes. This was adopted in 2020. This strategy aims to create sustainable human-scale neighborhoods for a population of 2 million. So, yes, Edmonton has it. I also found a map in Ottawa right here. See, even Ottawa has it. This of all places, Ottawa Citizen, a mainstream news outlet, published this on August 16, 2021. That's almost 5 years ago. And here you go. These are, and I spent about 15 years of my life in Ottawa. And here you go. These are the neighborhoods, these 15-minute neighborhoods. So unfortunately, it is in Canada. It is in Edmonton. It's in Ottawa. I saw some comments earlier that was saying that they were coming to Montreal, and I live in Montreal, and I can see that 100%. The city is already being established for that. No questions about it. It's in Vancouver. I believe that it's happening in Calgary too. So technically, we addressed our 15-minute city reel. Yeah, they are. They definitely are. I've just shown you a bunch of examples. Are they coming to Canada? Yes, they're not only coming to Canada, but they're already here. So the next thing we need to address is, why are so-called conspiracy theorists like me so against 15-minute cities? And that's going to drive the questions that I have for you guys tonight. Why do you believe that 15-minute cities are bad? Because when you consider it, when you think about it, they are all about convenience. Technically, for the vast majority of people that don't really travel, that don't leave their neighborhoods, that don't leave their city, or at least wouldn't if they didn't have to, 15-minute cities sounds awesome for a lot of people because, again, they're convenient. Same thing for everything we see today. People order online. People order from Amazon. They don't want to go to the store. People order their groceries. People order from Walmart. People order from everywhere now. And that happened ever since COVID. There's been a massive switch between going out and staying at home. And if you notice, the articles that I've been sharing were all between 2020 and 2022. So bang spank in the middle of COVID. This is not a coincidence. But let's address a few of the points that conspiracy theorists, so-called conspiracy theorists like me, have against 15-minute cities. And I invite you again to let me know, what do you guys think is the big problem with 15-minute cities? Or actually, do you know what? Do you agree with 15-minute cities? Do you think we should have 15-minute cities? Do you think it's a good idea? Because that's a fair question. And you know what? I'm curious to know. So if you do believe that they are a great thing, drop it in the comment. I'm curious. I want to know what you guys think. It's the whole point of the show. But here is a quick Google search that I did because I wanted to be able to show what people that are not conspiracy theorists think about conspiracy theorists and their conspiracy about 15-minute cities. Google says the 15-minute city conspiracy theory falsely claims that urban planning aimed at making amenities accessible within a 15-minute walk or bike ride is a sinister plot to restrict freedom of movement. It alleges governments will use climate lockdowns and CCTV to confine residents to their local neighborhoods, often linking the concepts of UN-backed agendas, the World Economic Forum, and surveillance. This is what the, should I call them the normies, or the uneducated or the unaware believe that we believe is wrong with 15-minute cities. And I think this is hilarious. This is absolutely, absolutely hilarious. Because let's listen to this again. So as per the conspiracy theorists, we believe that the government will use climate lockdowns. Okay, let's stop there. What happened in Nova Scotia over the summer? They actually blocked off the woods. Jeff Evely, that's been on the show many times, got a ticket for $28,000 for walking into the woods. And as per last week, the court, I don't know if it's the Supreme Court of Nova Scotia, but the highest court in Nova Scotia found that the government's ban in the woods was unconstitutional. So technically, we saw climate lockdowns in Nova Scotia last year. So it alleges governments will use climate lockdowns. That's not even a conspiracy theory. They've done it. Then it says, and CCTV to confine residents to their local neighborhoods. What did I say about Oxford? Are they using CCTV? No, that's old technology. CCTV just stands for closed circuit television. That's old technology. That's old technology. Now they're using wireless cameras that are installed everywhere that run on 5G and solar energy, and they're ran by AI. This is the technology that we're seeing today. Palantir, for example, would be one of the softwares that you might be familiar with. To confine residents to their local neighborhoods. Okay, sure. Is that what they're doing right now? Not yet. Instead, they're doing the reverse of this. Instead of confining us to our local neighborhoods, they're preventing us from going to certain neighborhoods because we're not authorized to be there. That's what they're doing right now. But let's push the conspiracy theory even further. How would our government ever lock us up at a home during a pandemic? Because that never happened, right? This is just conspiracy theory. This did not happen at the same time as the articles that I just shared with you were being printed, at the same time as those 15-minute cities were being implemented in Canada, in UK, all over the world. So where's the conspiracy theorists up to? Where's the conspiracy theory up to now? Climate lockdowns were real. CCTV to confine residents. They locked us up. Now they're talking about preventing people to go to certain areas, often linked to the concept of UN-backed agenda, the World Economic Forum. Well, this is not a conspiracy theory at all. Like right here, there's literally an article from the WEF, weforum.org, literally in front of you right now, that explains that. Listen to this part, especially about this part, because we're such a conspiracy theory. And to prove my point, Paris is planning to become a 15-minute city. This was posted in 2022, and Paris is considered to be the first 15-minute city. And they even have a graph. Look at the graph right here. They already have a graph to show you what a 15-minute city is and how it should operate. How is this a conspiracy theory? It's literally telling me that we believe that the concept is linked to UN-backed agendas, the World Economic Forum. Mark Carney, our prime minister, was on the board of trustees of the WEF when the net zero agenda was presented to their members. He was also the UN special envoy for climate change. So this, again, not a conspiracy theory. Have you read his book, Values? Values. His book is 100% about how climate change needs to be considered in every single economic decision a country makes. So it's a conspiracy to link the UN-backed agenda. Are you kidding me with the WEF and surveillance? I literally just showed you, I literally just proved that those are real. Yet it's a conspiracy theory to believe in 15-minute cities. And here's the kicker. Right here. The creative destruction of cities. And I kid you not, this is literally on the WEF forum website right now. COVID-19 may now be flipping this on its head, which is why the 15-minute city concept is taking hold in a way that it would not have been before the pandemic. As demonstrated by the illustration below, the 15-minute city puts home at the center of urban spatial relationship. And here's the graph. And then it even says, as climate change and global conflict causes shocks and stresses at a faster interval and increasing severity, the 15-minute city will become even more critical. It's right there, word for word. So what did they say again? Read this again. The 15-minute city conspiracy theory falsely claims that urban planning aimed at making amenities accessible within a 15-minute walk or bike ride is a sinister plot to restrict freedom of movement. Notice how they always say 15-minute walk or bike ride. None of them are talking about cars. And even if you remember the Wikipedia definition earlier, the point about sustainability was saying reduce carbon emissions by limiting the need for private cars. If we limit the need for private cars, does that mean that the only cars that will be available will be owned by the government and we will have to rent them, meaning we will need to ask permission to be able to leave our 15-minute cities? How is this a conspiracy theory? It alleges government will use climate lockdowns. They already did last year, and CCTV to confine residents to their local neighborhoods. In the pandemic, that's exactly what they did. In Oxford, right now, as we speak, they're using the technology to prevent people from accessing other people's neighborhood. What's the next logical step to this? To prevent you from leaving a specific area, saying, well, you don't belong anywhere else than that 15-minute city, and then often linking the concept to UN-backed agendas, the World Economic Forum, and surveillance. Literally, our prime minister has worked for both the UN, was on the board of trustees for the World Economic Forum, and believes in surveillance. Just look at Bill C2, C8, C9, C12, C16, C22, C25. He's talking about social media bans. Is this even a conspiracy theory? No, it's not. This is reality. And it's happening in Canada, Edmonton. It's happening in Calgary. It's happening in Ottawa. It's happening in Vancouver. So basically, the whole show was based on a single post that I saw early on Instagram. 4 out of the 5 claims were right. The only inaccurate statement was the fact that Oxford, UK is not the first 15-minute city. Paris was. But I linked everything. I found information that confirms everything that post was saying. And we're starting to see it right here in Canada. So this is not a conspiracy theory at all. This is actually happening as we speak. And, you know, I'm just noticing the time, we're 3 minute over. This was, I have at least 2 other pages of information that I found. So we're going to have to do this again. I really enjoyed those topics, by the way. Let me know in the comments. Do you enjoy those deep dives on things that most people don't have the balls to talk about? Because that's what I want to do with this show, right? I want to connect the dots for the average individual out there. I want to talk about the topics that mainstream media and other content creators will not touch because they either don't want to, they're either ignorant, it doesn't serve their audience because they don't want to look or sound like a conspiracy theorist. But that is all that matters to me, is to be able to approach those topics that every single Canadian should know about and have those hard conversations. This is what I'm all about. But we definitely need to make another episode about this. And I'd be curious, another request for you guys, if you know experts out there that knows about 15-minute cities, if there's somebody that you follow that speaks about 15-minute cities, drop it in the comment section or send me their names at info@thepoliticalorphans.com. Just send it there. Any guest that you guys would like to have on the show, send it to info@thepoliticalorphans.com. I want to have more guests. I just need to find good guests to speak about good things. But yeah, I'd like to do this because one thing that we know, and the reason I wanted to talk about 15-minute cities when I saw this post, is because it connects back to digital IDs. Let's be honest here. You cannot have a 15-minute city be enforced, the limits be enforced, if it is not tacked to a digital ID. This is the only way to make it enforceable, is with the digital ID, to make sure that if somebody does something you don't like, you can just cut them off. And that's the reality. So we'll have to do this again, because this is such a great topic to inform, to educate the people out there on, and again, that's the whole point of the show, right? Is to be able to educate regular Canadians on what is actually happening, what mainstream media is not talking about. So the question for you guys, do you believe that 15-minute cities are a way to control people? Do you think that they're about simple life, just about being convenient for people? That's the next evolution of city or urban living? And the other thing to consider is what happens to people like me. Like, I spent a lot of my time, I grew up in the country. I spent COVID basically the whole time in the middle of nowhere with my 2 dogs, and then my now wife joined me. But I live in the city now, but this is just it is just because I don't own a house in Canada anymore. I got rid of it. But I don't want to live in the city. I want to go back to living in the woods. I really miss living in the middle of nowhere in nature. I miss it every single day. So very curious to see what you guys think and how 15-minute cities will be applied to people that live in the middle of nowhere. Does that mean that they're not going to be allowed to go in the city anymore? Because that's another question we need to ask. Like, it's one thing to implement 15-minute cities in Europe where all the countries are super tiny. So over there, a lot of those cities are already technically 15-minute cities because everything's available at a walking distance. But we're in Canada here. That makes 0 sense in Canada unless you live in an urban center. Our country is the second biggest country on the planet. It makes no sense for anyone that is outside a massive urban center. Now, time for your questions, time for your comments. I apologize that I'm 7 minutes over, but it is definitely one of the topics that I'm very passionate about, and I can go for hours on this topic, and I hope that we continue talking about this. So before we get to your comments, I want to say that comments are great. They will always be a cornerstone of this show, but nothing beats a real conversation. So as you know, I've decided to take it to the next level. I want you guys on the show. Imagine if I took your calls just like they do on AM Talk Radio. I called it the Orphans Hotline. It turns out that to make it happen, all I need is a piece of equipment called the Rodecaster Pro 2. I was able to get a massive, massive deal. $300, $350 off. I got it for $650 plus tax. That's what the director of the store where I buy all of my gear made me for a deal. And you guys have been absolutely awesome. You've given $717. We're literally $35 away from hitting our target of buying the Rodecaster Pro while it's on sale before the end of the month. $35. That's all I need to make it a reality. So I still need your support. We still need your support. $35. It's what's left. If you want to be part of this, just go to thepoliticalorphans.com, top right menu, click on the Orphans Hotline, and let's make the Orphans Hotline a reality. Now, let's see what you guys have to say about this, because 15-minute cities is definitely something that we're going to be hearing more and more about. This is the first message, the first comment we got, and that was even before the show started. It's Trevor, our friend Trevor. Hold on, let me see this. I can now detach the comments. That is so much better. That is absolutely great. So here is Trevor Benson is saying, where did your comment go? StreamYard, come on. Sorry guys, I'm having some problems. I'm having more problems than usual. Trevor is saying, evening, lol. We are getting into some good shows. 15-minute cities, anyone thinks is just a conspiracy theory. Places like Montreal are set up perfect for it. close few bridges, and voila. Oh, 100%. If you look at Montreal, it is an island, and it is fed by bridges. So it would be super, super easy to block off Montreal. And that's one of the things that the average Canadian doesn't understand. If you look at a place like Montreal, it would take about, within 48 hours, it would have no food left. Literally, all the grocery stores in Montreal are replenished every 24 to 48 hours. So if something would to happen, like Trevor is mentioning, that the bridges would be closed, they would explode, whatever may be the reason, they're not accessible anymore. Within 48 hours, the city would run out of food. It's absolutely insane when you think about it, how dependent we are on others, and we have no concept of how fragile our actual society is. Rusty Wiener, what's going on, man? Yeah, it's absolutely a thing. In Edmonton, the whole Terwilliger area, never heard of that. Terwilliger area was designed originally with this concept. Then they discovered how much the underground parking would cost. Well, it seems like it's everywhere now. Like, it's literally, I showed you, it's Edmonton, Calgary, Vancouver, Montreal, as Trevor says, it would make sense. Ottawa definitely has them. Serena is saying it's all about control, easy to log down. Yeah, I completely agree. Bacon Slayer 69, better start to get alliances with the Americans and natives on their reserves. Well, you know, I've talked about this before. I lived in the middle of nowhere. And when I say the middle of nowhere, I lived in the middle of nowhere. I would see my neighbor, I would run into my neighbor more often at the grocery store 30, 35 minutes away from my house than I would do on my or his property. This is how remote we were, but I miss it. I miss it absolutely every day. And I wouldn't be surprised that this becomes one of the main ways of living in Canada, at least in my opinion. The best way to do it is to build a compound and to have your loved ones, your friends live with you and become self-sufficient. It's not that complicated. The only thing that was missing at my old house was solar panels on the roof, but outside of that, you can easily become self-sufficient. There's even technologies that was released by one of the university in Canada. I believe it was University of Montreal. The students in engineering developed a it's called a serre in French. I'm losing my words right now. The glass dome that you can use to grow fruits and vegetables. They developed technology where they could use the heat that's being released by the earth in order to keep the dome heated during the winter. So they were able to grow food year round under glass. And the technology, they didn't patent it. It's available online. Last time I checked, they just released it online as part of one of their courses. So technically it's possible. So I agree, Bacon. It's one of the best ways is not to be in those 15-minute cities and live outside of it. And I guarantee you that I will not end up in one of those 15-minute cities. It ain't going to happen. Canadian C2T. The cities will know everything about you, everything. Tokenization of everything on Earth currently underway. Yeah. The technology is there. I come from that world. I come from the telecommunication world, and I can tell you, if you guys knew what happened during COVID when it comes to telecommunications, there was always those massive conspiracy theories. And when I say conspiracy theories, I'm always air quoting. I don't believe in conspiracy theories at all. You know what? Let me ask you this. Do you know what the difference between a conspiracy is and reality? About 6 months. So I do use conspiracy theories because people use the term, and we all know what a conspiracy theory is. But the truth and the matter is that everything Canadian is saying is true. The cities will know everything about you, and AI enables it. It was not possible to have the type of system of control and surveillance that they want because of the requirement of somebody looking at that data. And that was always the biggest problem, is you have so much information that is available. People had to sit and sift through it. They had to go through it and try to understand it and try to make sense of it. But now with AI, it allows softwares like Palantir's software to take that vast amount of information and organize it into a GUI, a user interface, a graphic user interface that is easy to use. And that's what AI has enabled. And that's why AI is so dangerous, because it enables this. Guys, I just got a $10 support donation from Wilf. Thank you, sir. We are $25 away from making the Roadcaster a reality. So thank you, Wilf. Always a pleasure. But yeah, $25 away. My goal is to, hopefully by tonight, the Orphan Hotline's a reality. I get the Roadcaster. I take a week and a half to play with it, set it up, and make sure that everything works. And starting the first week of May, I start giving links on every episode so that you guys can click on it and join me so that we can have a voice-to-voice conversation. Wolverine 2471 is saying, all they will create, Nico, are pressure cookers. It is a fool's errand, but an innovative idea. Well, technically it's not innovative, because the concept of 15-minute cities have been around forever. And like I said earlier, especially when you look at Europe and the way Europe is organized, they don't have a lot of cars. Not the way that we do. Especially not trucks. I drive a truck, right? I drive a extended bed. Like my bed's 8 foot, or just my bed is 8 foot. So my truck does not fit. It doesn't even fit in parkings in Canada. It does in Texas and does in Alabama. It does down south where everybody drives trucks, but don't even think about that in Europe. So there's nothing innovative about this. The part that's innovative is the control that they're able to put in place with those traffic filters, as they like to call it. So yeah, it's definitely a reality. And I like the expression, I'm just going to bring it back up again, about pressure cookers. You know, it reminds me of the movie, what's the name? You know, they're police officers in the future. The original was played by Sylvester Stallone. Judge Dredd. They did a newer version probably like 10 years ago or something like that, along those lines. And they talk about those mega cities where people live in those massive buildings that are hundreds of story high. And that's exactly what I'm thinking when you're talking about pressure cookers. It's exactly that. Can you imagine living in a 200, 300, 400 story building where everything is accessible? Because again, if you remember the definitions I was giving for 15-minute cities, is the zoning would be changed so that residential, commercials are all living together in the same buildings. Because if you look at the real intent of a 15-minute city, is to provide you all the convenience without you having to move much. What better way to do it than to stack people on top of each other and then provide them with all the essential services that they require to live their life of laziness? I think about Judge Dredd, the last one, the one that came out a few years back. Bacon Slayer 69 is saying, sounds like communist Cuba. I agree. Sounds like communist Cuba. Sounds definitely like China. Definitely sounds like China. Man, there's so many There's so many good comments. Church of Earths is saying you got to extend your live shows, brother. You're just getting warmed up. I know. Man, if you weren't there at the beginning, we ran shows that were 2.5 hours long, 3 hours long every day. It was insane. We literally went until we were done. When we were running out of steam, we're done. But we used to run the show at 12, like at noon. So we'd finish 2:30 in the afternoon. Not a big deal. But now, man, finishing at 10:30, at 10:30, I still have another hour after the show to finish all the edits and all that stuff to make sure everything's good. That means I wouldn't go to bed before 11 midnight and I get up at 4 in the morning. Oof. And I have a 10-month-old that keeps us up most nights. Yeah, that would be a nightmare. But I gotta say, man, Church of Earths, I miss it. I want to go back to that. I want to eventually go back to that. I've always wanted to have an AM talk radio show, and this is basically what this show is just it's online. But I would love to go 2-3 hours, and maybe that's something we need to do. Make an episode a week where we're just going for 2-3 hours and we just take comments and address them. This is what I like the most. I love to interact with you guys. I feed off the energy you guys give me. So I want those conversations. I want to be able to create a place where people can have those conversations, those hard conversations like the ones we're having right now. I just wish there was more people that would disagree. I wish there were more people that would disagree with me so that we can have those debates. Cindy is saying Chris Sky just came to me. Chris Sky. This is the guy. He's a buff dude with massive teeth. I don't want to make fun of him by any stretch, but he has massive white teeth. And he was in, yeah, that's it. That's him. I just Googled him. He was massive during COVID. Christopher Sokokia. Why they refer to Chris Sky as a Canadian social media personality known for his involvement in the anti-mask, anti-lockdowns, COVID-19 denial, anti-vaccine movement during the COVID-19 pandemic. Goddamn, that's quite the Wikipedia. But I saw a video of him the other day, like randomly. I haven't heard about him for years, and he just showed up. Yeah, maybe I should reach out to him. I'm sure I know people that know him. I'm sure it wouldn't be that complicated, but great recommendation. Cindy, just to make sure I don't forget, because my memory sucks, can you send that to info@thepoliticalorphans.com so that when I look at my emails tomorrow morning, I will actually try to get him on? Marie A. Perrin. That sounds very French. No, I don't agree with 15-minute cities. I hate the city, and the only reason I'm here is I'm old now and I can't afford to live in the country. Yeah, I fully understand. I fully understand. I'm here because I don't own a house anymore. Because I know what it means to own a house in Canada, and to me that's lunacy to buy a house in Canada now, considering what's going to happen to them. But I can't wait to go back to the woods. Bacon Slayer 69 is saying convenience is a dangerous commodity. Yeah, 100%. Same as safety. But I think it's Churchill. Is it Churchill or Benjamin Franklin that said that anyone who will trade liberty for a bit of safety deserve neither? Paraphrasing. But to me, convenience is the same thing. Absolutely the same thing. Jane Doe 1984 saying convenience and comfort are not good things. For sure. Well, I agree. I completely agree. They're soul killers. Absolute soul killers, but that is how they control you. Old Alberta has voted. Oh, my bad. Raging in the Cage 4227 is saying Old Alberta has voted to become a 15-minute city. I live 6 kilometers away. But in olds, but not in olds. Will I be able to get gas and grocery there? You know, that's a great question. And that's the point I was making earlier. Because you look at a place like, let's say, Edmonton, that has 15 different districts that have been lined out to become 15-minute neighborhoods, because they're not calling them 15-minute cities. Eventually, to me, that's the idea, is to create a fence around those neighborhoods. And it doesn't need to be a physical fence. They could do through AI technology. They could do it through what we call geofencing, which is a principle where you can identify people with their phones. So based on GPS, based on antenna technology, wireless technology, when your phone is always pinging a tower that's close to you to relay information, and when you have 3 towers, you can triangulate. That's why they call it triangulate, because it forms a triangle. But you can triangulate somebody's location, and geofencing would allow to say around this neighborhood, this is the limitation of a certain area. What are the cell phones that are within it? And they could see if the cell phone belongs there or not. And remember, when we talked about C22, Bill C22, I mentioned it a few times in the past few days and a few times in the past couple of months, but the past month or so, sorry. Bill C22, one of the requirements is to have electronic service providers like the Bell, the Rogers, the Telus, the Videotron of this world to keep your metadata to up to 1 year. And if you remember, part of the metadata that they will keep, or something that is part of metadata, is not only your geolocation, but also something that we call a MAC address. Every single device out there that is an electronic device has what we call a MAC address. It's a unique identifier that is probably 20, 30 characters long. I don't know what they're up to now, because there's so many devices, it's insane, but they can use that number that is specified to your device, let's say your cell phone, because they know who it belongs to. They can say, oh, that person does not belong in that neighborhood. Let's go after that person. It's insane when you think about it. The technology is definitely there. So to go back to your common Rage in the Cage 4247, you're absolutely right. For all you know, think about it this way. This is where it becomes very dangerous. This is why I'm 100% against electric cars. I'm absolutely against electric cars. And one of the reasons being is you can shut down any car that's electric remotely. Tesla's done it. So you can remotely shut down a car. So think about it this way. You have technology like geofencing. You have Bill C22 that gives you all the identifier to know which devices belongs to who, their geolocation, technology with geofencing. Then you have all the AI softwares that can make sense of all that information, that can connect to all the cameras that were installed, all the 5G technology. And by the way, one of the reasons why earlier I was saying if you knew what was installed during COVID, the telecommunication companies in Canada went out of their ways to install as many 5G towers as they could. Because yes, the technology is better than 4G when it comes to speed, what we call latency. Speed is often impacted by latency, or it's all about, you can have the possibility of speed, but without latency, it means nothing. And latency is literally just the time that it takes for information to go from point A to point B. It's one way, and then you have round trip latency, but it's information from A to B. The thing that 5G enables is what you call real-time information or real-time technology, meaning that the latency is so low, it goes from point A to point B so fast that it's called real-time, that there's literally no lag between when the information is sent to when the information is received. That's why you've seen over 5G, you have doctors that can control remotely a robotic arm in another hospital in a different part of the country and run operations remotely. 5G enables that. But 5G also enables having wireless cameras that run off solar energy installed everywhere. So imagine that you have geofencing that's running. Imagine that you have AI software is looking at license plates. Your car has a MAC address, right? It has a unique identifier that is unique to that equipment being your car. Because of Bill C-22, they can check. Let's say that Bill C-22 becomes reality. They can check what your license plate is. They can attach it to an area where you belong. And if you leave that area because your car is electric, they could remotely shut you down, or they could prevent you from moving, saying you don't belong there. So technically, Rage in the Cage 4247, you're not wrong. The technology exists. So will I be able to get gas and groceries there? Who knows? But the technology is definitely there to prevent you from doing it. And what's next? Because everything's attached, because digital ID is a matter of time before they start implementing them really and attaching your banks to it. Now that they have your identifier, your unique identifier for all your devices, they know where you are at pretty much any given time. They know where you belong and you don't belong. Let's say that you keep on going to neighborhoods that you're not supposed to go to. They can not only disable your car, but they could disable your credit cards. They could disable your money, your bank account. They could debank you. And don't tell me that this is a conspiracy theory. They did it during the 2022 convoy for people that just donated money. So this is not a conspiracy theory either. This is, the will is there, the technology is there, and I don't know for you, but I don't trust our government with that type of power. That's pretty clear. But what a rabbit hole. Thanks you guys. Thank you guys for bringing me down those rabbit holes. Those are all subjects I absolutely love talking about. And I do a lot of research, so I do know a lot about them. And it seems that we got another donation. We were $25 away after Wilf's new donation. Now I just received an email saying, but I don't see the amount. Where's the amount? Are we done? $25. We are done. We are done. And this comes from Sandra King. Thank you, Sandra King. Celebration. Let's clap. The Orphans hotline is a reality. So congratulations. Thank you for making it a reality. I'm looking forward. You guys have no idea how much I absolutely love this. I cannot wait to talk to you guys live on this show. So thank you, Sandra King. You made it a reality. Every single person that donated made it a reality. So thank you for all of you that participated. Hopefully you guys do call. I want to hear your voice. We are 4 minutes over. We will call it a day. We will clip it right there. But before I do, I want to thank every single one of you. I want to make sure that you guys smash that like button. You guys subscribe. If it's your first time here, welcome. Subscribe. We want to see you again. We definitely want to hear from you. So drop a comment, because the goal of this show is simple. We really want to educate Canadians out there to the information that mainstream media and other content creators won't talk about, that I would say are hiding, the information that they're hiding from you. But we want to also create a place where we can have those conversations. And I want people to disagree with me. I really want people to question what I'm saying. I want to debate people. I want to be able to have those conversations. This is what I live for. I love this stuff. So guys, we're Thursday. This is like the weekend. So Sunday is the next show, 7 p.m. Eastern time. I will be joined by JTF2, one of my ex-military buddies that I've met almost 20 years ago through martial art, Randy Turner. Awesome dude. Absolutely love this guy. He's JTF2. If you don't know what JTF2 is, it's the equivalent of it's the top military force that we have. They're the cream of the crop in Canadian military. He's going to join us to talk about the new reports that the Canadian Armed Forces are recruiting within permanent residents that don't even speak French or English. So they are bragging about how their numbers are going are actually increasing again. But what they're not telling you is who they're using to fill our military. So my buddy, veteran, ex JTF2 is going to join us, Randy Turner, to speak about this. He's going to be here for the whole hour. So the first half an hour we'll be talking about this, and then no different. The last half hour will be you guys commenting, asking him questions. We want to make this a collaboration. I want you guys to talk to the guests just like I'm able to do it. So make sure you're here 7 p.m. Eastern time on Sunday. Until then, I will wish you a good weekend, and we'll see you in 2 days. Until then, peace.